down my phone because I cannot buy dinner tonight.
It works so far. Okay. Is everybody ready? Okay, very good. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 25th, 2018, and it is 4 p.m., 4:03 p.m., and I call this Road and Drainage District Governing Body meeting to order. Present are Commissioner Luke, myself, Vice Mayor Yates, Commissioner McDowell, Commissioner Hanks, Assistant City Attorney Golan. We'll get it right. That was the mayor that messed me up.
Just so you know, Mr. Golan, I've had it right for quite some time now.
Right.
I just call him Michael G.
And we have our Assistant City Manager, Carrie, filling in for City Manager. And we have our Deputy Clerk, Interim City Clerk, Ms. Pito. We also have our Police Chief, in the back there. All right, if you would, please make sure that your phones are on silent. Would appreciate that. And if you're able to stand, please do so for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner McDowell.
Could we have a moment of silence for Andrews?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, so what our city attorney is not here today. Unfortunately, her mom had passed, and so if we could take a moment of silence for her and her family, keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So move, Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner McDowell to approve the agenda as presented, seconded by Commissioner Luke. Seeing no discussion, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. And is absent today. She'll not be at the meetings tonight. Okay, if anybody wants to make a public comment, please fill out one of these cards and give it to the officer there on my left. Appreciate that. All right, and we do have one public comment. Mr. Martin Lumpert, come on up.
Martin Lumpert, Northport Estate. Road and Drainage Director wrote Price Boulevard widening. They don't have to buy the property, they already own it. They widen it, Sumter Boulevard from 75 to Tropical Boulevard. I don't see any agenda that they buy any property, they already own it. I think that they want to widen it. Tropical Boulevard, that's what affects me. City lawyer telling me I'm the owner, but everything else shows otherwise. And I like to hear from Julie Belia, if we're gonna get paid or it's gonna be the same thing, we already own it, street right away. Another thing is moving to Northport Estate. Code enforcement route nuisance. 80% of property in Northport Estate, city properties, are not cut. including a lot of drainage. We're paying taxes, but service is up for the birds. Something has to be done because I don't want to wear that shirt. And you, Commissioner, till now I send you email, now I'm telling you, something got to be done quick. The other way, I'm running out of patience. I'm fighting CD for 10 years, changing already 3-4 ordinance, and I keep coming back to the same thing. It's not the same for me every day. If the city owns. If I own, I will pay taxes on it. And appraisal office say, I do not own it, and I don't pay taxes on it. The only solution is city. If you go and look, Florida statutes, in 72, they come out, first one, they give companies or builders 1 year to apply the lawsuit. The judge will decide to reverse or not. In 73, that expired, and that was the end. That's why somebody should look into it. You got sources more than I have it, and do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lumberger. Commissioner McDowell. Oh, okay. Okay. Ms. Margot, I know that Mr. Lumpert asked a question from Ms. Balio, so if you can follow up on that question, that would be appreciated. Also, I did meet with Mr. Lumpert, and he had expressed the concern with the code enforcement issuances that are going on, and I did get some feedback from staff, but in follow-up to that, you know, if we're in a period of time that even the city cannot mow those areas because they're wet, we'd just like some feedback as to why certain individuals are receiving citations and not necessarily every single person on Tropicare, where it's overgrown, obviously, because it's wet. Nobody can mow, not even the city. So if you can follow up on that and provide some clarifications to the commission, that would be appreciated.
Okay, will do.
Thank you. All right. Are you ready now, Commissioner McDowell? Later.
I was going to ask to pull an item off consent, so whenever you're ready for that.
Yep, we are to item 3, so we're up to the consent, so go ahead and.
I'd like to pull item C, please. That's the contract for the swales.
Okay. And, okay, that's for the Spectrum Underground. Okay. And anybody else want to pull anything on that? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda A, B, and D.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Root to accept consent agenda items A, B, and D, seconded by Commissioner McDowell. Commissioner Root, do you have anything? No. Okay. I didn't see the necessity to pull item D, but I'm still anticipating a follow-up to some of the questions that I did ask in that, but it's beyond any issue with the item itself, so I just wanted to mention that. All right, so seeing nothing else, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. All right, so we are to item number C. And Commissioner McDowell, do you have questions on that?
I do. I noticed that one of the items that is going to be addressed is the piping of Glen Allen Boulevard. Yay! Thank you. I'm just hoping that what I'm envisioning being piped is actually what's going to be done. So if maybe we could get staff of Ms. Carey
Sure.
to give us a quick overview what's going to be included
I
with
think
Glen Allen.
ask staff to come up. Ms. Monica Bramble. Good afternoon, Monica Bramble, Assistant Public Works Director. What's going to be piped on Glen Allen is actually the residential side of Glen Allen, the south side. So where the homes are, where that has the drive, and they have a very deep swale, that is going to be piped from the road, what's the cross street? Well, all the
That's
way
like
down. Springhaven, yeah,
Down towards.
down towards the R ditch. So there's an R ditch, okay, so there's about 5 homes there, and then there's, you see nothing. That's where an R ditch comes in, and it'll be piped down to there, and I do not have a map.
Within the past couple, for the record, Julian, I believe, Public Works Director, within the past few years, we have done a lot of digging in that area of the homes. The ditches are very, very steep. So it's going to be much safer for them if we pipe those areas in front of those homes rather than leave them like that. It's very high maintenance. It carries a lot of water in that area. So rather than keep it open swale, which we typically like to do and Swift Mud likes us to do if possible for treatment of the nutrients and so forth. But in cases where it becomes a safety issue and it's very steep like that by homes, it's just better to pipe them. So that's what this project's about. It's not on the school side. Yeah, yes, ma'am. We had actually. I'm sorry. We had actually, we've gone back and forth with it on the school. Mr. Traverso, and he's not here. He'll be here shortly. He's on an emergency pipe failure job, meeting with a contractor. That's why he's not here yet. But just to give a little history on that, we were approached several years ago by Sarasota County School Board and asked if we could not go in as a project with them to pipe that all the way to the Narramore sports field. We got with them, we ran the numbers. Very, very, very expensive project because it's a long distance. When Mr. Traverso came on board last year, he went out there, met with some of the folks at the school board, and he made some suggestions of what could be done on their side that they're actually responsible for to do. And some things we have to do, putting in some guardrails and some safety precautionary infrastructure and so forth, rather than to pipe it, because it would have probably cost well over $1 million. We had at one point talked about a cost share, and recently we got to that point, but by now, of course, the prices are increasing. But when Mr. Traverso did come on board, he said there's some things that could be done in lieu of that to make it a lot less expensive on both parties. So that's where we're at with that. The other thing was at the school, there is a parking area that they were trying to accommodate for access, ingress and egress with the piping. Well, of course, that's solely a school activity. That's not really something on the city responsibility. So after we discussed all those things, we came to an agreement, our staff and their staff, to mutually do some of these improvements, and then the piping project would no longer be necessary on the school side of Glen Allen.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate the clarification, and I'm really glad I asked the question because my mind was on school side, not residential side, so I'm glad I asked that clarification. Don't go too far. I got one more question, Ms. Carey, and this is not related to the item, but it's kind of the same subject.
Okay.
Lately, there's been a lot of off-roading between Sumter and the golf cart overpass on Price Boulevard. Not intentional off-roading. And I am wondering, is there something that can be done with those swales?
That is actually going to be part of our next phase for the Price widening project. The reason that we would prefer to wait on that, there's a very large road crossing pipe and piping system under there. They're very, very wet swales, high water table areas. So rather than to do it twice, we wanted to wait until we widen that section of Price and do it all at once. The other thing is, of course, you have the bridge there, the bridge that goes over Mike Hatchie. And actually, last week, we had a meeting with some of the MPO representatives for their annual review and different projects and so forth. So we really, really pushed that project. because that's going to be a very expensive component of that. So the lady at the MPO recommended, she said, I would recommend making it a separate project MPO request just for the bridge, because there's DOT monies on bridge, for grants and different things like that. So we are going to change that a little bit, take it out of the part of price to widen and make it a separate bridge request, because that can be done at any time, the bridge even before we do the widening. But getting back to your question, we're kind of holding out if we can till we widen it to do it all at once, because it's a major, major endeavor with all that piping in there. And there's a lot of permitting because it's going to ultimately go into the creek. So we'll need, of course, Swift Mud, Army Corps, DEP, all kinds of people. So we were just waiting until that point if we can. But yes, definitely that should be piped.
Gotcha. Yeah, maybe staff can come up with some really grandiose ideas on how to prevent people from getting in there, because I'm sure it's not helping the situation either.
Right, and a couple of things. We did put up the signs about
Soft
very
shoulder.
soft shoulder and all that. But one of the other things,
I think they're testing to see how soft they are.
Right. At least on the Heron Creek side, I work very closely and stay in contact with the maintenance manager of Heron Creek. And he is trying to be, they bought a new piece of equipment for the golf course. They also use it to mow those swales. So I try to keep up with him, and they do try their best. It's very wet. It's probably not the most appropriate piece of equipment, but they've done better than ever, I think, to try to keep that grass cut. But it's very challenging because it's very, very wet.
Thank you very much for that update.
Can I speak to the piping project?
Yes, ma'am.
I go through there just about every day, and I do see that corner just flooded oftentimes. I mean, where you can't even see the road from one side to the other. It's just really deep and completely. And there's a crossing guard area for the children to go to school right there at that corner too. So it was very, very necessary to get that addressed.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for answering my questions
You're
on that.
welcome.
I do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
If nobody else has a question, Mayor, I'll go ahead and, I don't have my sheet, so somebody else will have to do it.
Well, this would be
It's just C.
entertaining a motion for approval of contract number 2018-73.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Luke, as stated, and seconded by Commissioner McDowell. Anything on that, Commissioner Luke? Commissioner McDowell?
Just appreciate the information on that. Thank you.
All right, seeing nothing else, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Okay, so that concludes the items. There's no other public comment cards, correct? All right, anybody have any communications necessary for this meeting? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
Passed.
Everybody in? We're good? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 25th, 2018. We are in the Commission chambers, and it is 4:22 p.m. And I call this Solid Waste District Governing Body meeting to order. Present are Commissioner Hanks, Commissioner McDowell, myself, Vice Mayor Yates, and Commissioner Luke. We also have our Deputy Clerk, Ms. Pito, and we have our Assistant City Attorney, Mr. Golan, and also our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Branco. Branco, right? Branco.
Branco.
Okay. I get one more try at the 6 o'clock. And we have our Police Chief, Chief Garrison. And we have said the Pledge of Allegiance, so that brings us to the item of approving the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented, Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Okay, motion by Commissioner McDowell to approve the agenda, seconded by Commissioner Hanks. Any statements, comments? Nope. All right, seeing none, please vote. And that passes 4-0. All right, I don't have any public comment cards, so if anybody wants to put in a card, please do so. Give it to the officer on my left. But for general public comment, I do not have any. So that brings us to the consent agenda. Does anybody want to pull anything?
I don't want them pulled, but I would just ask that the assistant city manager just briefly tell us why D and E are going to be done quickly.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
D and E.
So items D and E, are you referring to why we will be placing the order in the next couple days? Okay.
Exactly.
So once
Yes.
these items are approved, we plan on placing an order as soon as possible. Because of the price of steel has increased, our numbers indicating at least 18% this year. So with your approval, that would be our next step.
Till October 1st to get that done, right?
Yep.
Wasn't that what I read?
Sooner, I
Or-
think.
Or
We would
sooner?
order it like tomorrow,
Well,
or the next
well,
day,
yeah, I'm
right.
just saying, but
The budgets
October
have-
1st, that's when it,
So
4/24, I'm sure you guys can order it.
yeah, we're going to order it, the budget will be available October 1st, and then obviously will be invoiced after that, which
Yeah.
would be the new year. But I think Kenny or maybe Ms. Balia can speak clear exactly what the, when
Makes
that's
sense
based
to
with
me.
the price.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I just wanted, it to be stated why we were doing this so quickly, because it was wonderful that you guys did do this. It's saving lots of
Great due
money.
diligence.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Did he want to say
Seeing-
something about it?
Is there something else
No.
to add?
No.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
Oh.
All right,
Somebody making a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mayor, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Vice Mayor, start over, I'm sorry.
okay.
I'll make a motion, Vice Mayor, to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner McDowell to approve the consent agenda as presented, and that is seconded by Commissioner Luke. Any discussion?
I just have just a quick question in general. Since it's a solid waste, I know that there was talk of doing a solid waste presentation for the recycling program, going from single stream to dual stream and vice versa. That was supposed to be coming before commission. I just wanted to kind of get an update on that, Ms. Branco.
Can we do the motion on this, and then we'll use that for the commission comments? All right. How's that? Okay.
I'll give them time to chit chat about it.
All right,
Thank you.
so seeing nothing on the motion for discussion, please go ahead and vote. And that passes 4-0. I still not have any public comment cards, but it's great to see the public here, so thank you for coming today. And with that, then, Commission Communications, go ahead, Commissioner McDowell and staff in addressing that question.
Commissioner McDowell, we have Ms. Balia to address that question.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
regards to the presentation.
Presentation from the
For the record, Juliana Balia, Public Works Director. We will be doing a presentation on November 1st.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner, was there something, since they are planning on doing that presentation, just for expectation of anything that you might hope that's coming forward in that presentation?
No,
Okay,
but
just
did
wanted
you
to make
guys?
sure.
I don't even know, where is the county in that? I hope that'll be part of the presentation. And also, did we send out the letter to the county saying, hey, we would like you to stay as dual stream?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Lum and myself attended both public hearings at the county when they discussed this proposed single stream recycling, as well as for their change in ordinance, as well as putting the RFP on the street. I hand-delivered to the clerk myself at the first public hearing the commission's letter of opposition to the single stream recycling, and the clerk entered it into the record. And so, there was very little discussion at either hearing. on the subject. There was 1 or 2 questions, but they, voted it on through. At the second public hearing, there was virtually no discussion at all. They made a motion to approve the ordinance adopting the single stream recycling, and that was it. Mr. Lum and myself, as well as other members of my staff, have been working very diligently with various vendors to try to be accommodated with dual stream recycling. We're trying to come up with a plan for a recycling center. So we're looking at one of our city facilities to be able to do that. We're looking at all the logistics. We met with finance last week on how we can accomplish that, being able to piggyback off of the sole source agreement with the vendor that the Sarasota County uses, that we will be able to have a private hauler bring our dual stream recycling to up in Sarasota. So we've got that plan in motion. We also have RFBs that we are processing. We're getting those prepared right now, getting all the scope of services and so forth to have a private hauler, as well as to advertise for a vendor to come and take our, where we can bring through a hauler, our recyclables too. So at our presentation, we hope to have some good news, some results, but those are all of the points that we plan on discussing at that meeting.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Okay.
Ms.
Did
Branco,
I leave anything? I'm sorry.
can I ask a question? Ms. Branco,
Yes,
could I get a
Commissioner.
copy of the letter that was presented to the county, please?
Yes, I'll have that sent to all commissioners.
I would appreciate that, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Else? Okay, anybody else have anything? All right.
No, I think the only thing I would like to say for the commission communication is just remind, if anybody's listening, that there is a neighborhood meeting going on at the Morgan Center tonight.
There's a what?
Neighborhood meeting at the Morgan Center at 6. I mean, we'll be in a meeting at 6, so I just wanted to tell people that are listening now, might not know that, it has to do with Sable Trace.
For Sable Trace, right. Their community meeting.
That's a community meeting.
There's another meeting going on right now for Warm Middle Springs, right? Or is that?
I don't know that that's right now. I don't
Last
think so.
week.
Yeah, yeah, that was last week.
It all blends together.
It all.
But we do have a commission meeting at the same time, and I did want to say, I had some people ask, why are we scheduling those? Well, we didn't schedule that.
Right,
You know,
right.
otherwise, that's the developer schedules these things for the people, and that's their prerogative to do so, and so that's why. But those that are interested in it, that want to go and give their input, should go.
Thank you. All right. Seeing nothing else, then, we are adjourned.